Hi there, welcome back to our second video talking about becoming a surface pattern designer. Today, I'm going to share with you the tools that you will need in order to be able to create your designs. There is not only one set of tools that you could use, there's going to be multiple options. I'm going to tell you about what I use, and then I'm going to share other options that you might have so you can decide a little bit better. At the beginning, it was a little overwhelming to have to decide what was the right tool when you had never used them before. So let's get started. Welcome back to Moshito Design Academy. Today, I am going to talk about the tools that we need to become surface pattern designers. All right, so I've already said this, I'm going to say it again. I'm going to mention first the tools that I use. It does not mean that you have to use the same things, and I'm going to talk about the different options that you have. Let me move the screen so it's not in the way. Okay, so first of all, I think you're going to need a computer. I don't think that is a good way about not having a computer. So you will need a computer. The good news is that you don't need a super fancy computer. Probably if you have a computer, you can start with that and then see if you need to upgrade eventually. But I had a computer, I stick with it, and I've been fine. Now, this is where it comes then that you get to choose what you want. If you draw on paper, like you do watercolors, acrylics, things like that, you might want to go with a scanner to scan your drawings and then bring them to the computer. It is not absolutely necessary that you have a scanner. These days, phones and other cameras are great at taking photos. The only challenging thing about taking a good photo with your phone would be like to make sure that it's flat and there is no shadows and things like that. But I find that it's a little bit easier with the scanner and you can control a little bit more the settings, but it is not necessary. You can take photos of your art and they can turn out as great as with a scanner if your camera has good settings for it. If you do not draw manually on a piece of paper, then you can draw on an iPad. So the only thing you have to make sure when you get an iPad is that your iPad is compatible with an Apple Pencil that will allow you to draw. There are cheaper versions out there for the Apple Pencil, but I found that the palm recognition and a bunch of other features made it worth for me. At the time, I had an iPad, but it was not compatible with an Apple Pencil. So that's the one thing I invested in. To say my husband gifted to me a new iPad. But I think the iPads these days are all compatible with the Apple Pencil. And then the other one thing that I invested in after doing a little bit of research, I went with the Adobe software. The Adobe software, unfortunately, you have to buy it as a yearly subscription, which means it's not a one-time payment. You get the software and you're done with it. You have to pay every year for it. It's a little pricey. There are ways around it. If you're a student or something like that, you could get a cheaper version of it, and they offer you a 30-day free trial, which means you get to try it out and decide if that's the program that you want to use. I find that 30 days is a little bit of a short time, even that if you've never used it before, there is a bit of a learning curve, okay? But these are the things that I use. These are the things that I'm the most familiar with. It does not mean that you have to choose the same things for yourself. And I'm going to talk about other options. I already mentioned you can do a computer and a scanner or a phone, and that's it. If you draw on paper, you can go a different route. If you don't want to draw on paper, you can just use your computer, your iPad, and the Apple Pencil. I know I have some friends that use the Wacom tablets. A Wacom tablet pretty much is a device like a little bit like an iPad, and you're going to draw on it, and then it's going to show on your computer directly. So that's another option you have. I don't own one, so I don't know about the details, but it sounds pretty cool that you get to draw and instantly it shows up on your computer, and you can edit and make changes directly from there. Um, if you would like alternatives to the software, the Adobe software, there are alternatives. It's not the only software that you can use. You can use Procreate, which I think if you're getting started, that's a great way to begin. It's a one-time fee. It's a relatively cheap. I forgot if it's like 10 or 15 bucks. And the only one thing with Procreate is that it's not vector, meaning that you have to keep in mind where your design is going to go, because you cannot make it a lot bigger or it will get pixelated. But I will say that's the only thing. If you are mindful about the scale of your end up product, then you shouldn't have any issues with that. And there are other programs like Affinity Designer or CorelDRAW that you could also use. Again, I'm not super familiar with those two. I do use Procreate as well. I have not used Affinity Designer or CorelDRAW, but I know they're available and I think they're a little bit more affordable. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk about other items that you might want to consider. And I did not necessarily have all of these right away, okay? If you're an artist and you're already an artist and you like to draw, you probably have art supplies. So I would start with those art supplies that you have. When I began, I didn't have many art supplies. I had my kids' art supplies and I started using those. And they were fine. I started practicing and getting better with them. And then eventually I decided to invest a little bit more money in other supplies. But I feel like if you've never done it and you just want to learn whatever you can get your hands on in the beginning, that's great. And then you can go from there. Speaking of software, there's a million different softwares out there that you can use from marketing to help you like manage your all your social media, to put in your posts daily and things like that. I personally don't, I already invested my Adobe subscription. I don't find like I need a lot of that software. And if anything, I usually go with the free version, because a lot of them offer a limited free version. So I start with that. If I really, really like something, then I will consider investing on that software. Couple of things that might be also worth to consider down the road, maybe some sort of phone holder. It will help you make recordings of your designs, of your fabric. Also, if you want to do behind the scenes recordings of you making designs, that can help you. They're not very expensive, available on Amazon. If you're going to make videos, start teaching online, things like that, maybe a microphone. But I would definitely not get a microphone just to create posts online for social media, things like that. And if you like sewing, I do, and I already had a sewing machine. I would say a sewing machine is great because you can buy your own design, make something, and it looks a lot better than just the flat out fabric. So if you can make a t-shirt or something for your kids or anything else, like a little like makeup pouch or something like that, that could definitely help you, but only if that's something that you're interested in. Definitely you don't need a sewing machine at all if you don't want to. All right, so just a little summary of this. I would think that you need a computer. You need a computer, but then after that you have options. You can either go digital route, iPad and Apple Pencil, or you can go manual with art supplies and a scan or a camera to bring your designs into your computer. And then regarding software, you could go with the Adobe subscription. You can use Procreate or try programs like Affinity Designer. And I know there are more out there. Again, the only disclaimer with Procreate is watch out for the resolution. If you keep that in mind, it should not be a problem. Okay. All right, so this is it for today. Thank you so much again for joining. In our next class, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the pricing so you have an idea. When I started, that was one of my questions. How much money do I need to spend to begin this path? If I am not 100% sure this is something that I'm going to enjoy or I'm going to be able to do, so I'll give you an idea. It is not outrageous, and you can pretty much start with anything you have right now and then keep adding things from there. So I think like the investment is up to you, however much or however little you want to spend. And then as you go, and then you develop more of a sense of the things that you like to do, and what things can help you speed up your process, then you'll be in a better position to invest in things rather than get it going from the beginning and then find out that maybe that was not the right tool for you because you don't particularly enjoy it, something like that. So we'll talk about that a little bit more in our next video. Thank you for joining. Bye.